All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, after having discussed the new normal for the coaching industry, it's time to ask a very important questions to yourself. Is coaching for you? Understanding the philosophy and the stance of business coaching, roadmap for professionals who are looking to become business mentors or a coach. What are the essential skills that you require as a business coach? The work and life of a business coach, building your coaching or mentoring niche, team coaching and one-on-one coaching, and very importantly, how to identify the right market for your coaching business. These are some very important points that are going to be covered in this panel discussion. Our moderator for the session is Mr. Moloy Chakravorty, business coach, action coach. Joining sir for this panel discussion is MCC mentor, coach and facilitator, Mr. Gaurav Arora. Craig Brewster, Master Coach, Action Coach, Ms. Betska K-Burr, the Guru Coach, President, Head of Training, Coaching and Leadership International Inc., Mr. Santosh Babu, Founder, Order at Orglens, and Mr. Harish Mehta, Business Coach, Action Coach. I think it's time for our moderator to now take over. Over to you, Mr. Chakravorty.
Thank you so much, Pooja, and very good morning to everyone in the room and everyone who is watching us. Fantastic morning, and thank you so much, Gaurav, Craig, and Santosh for logging in, and I'm sure the others will log in very soon. So the question that has been asked of all of us, and we will try to address that, is coaching for you? Is coaching for you? What value does it bring into society? And let me give you a quick this. I gave up my professional career in 2016 after 25 years in industry and started my coaching and consulting company. The question that was asked of me then, and it's still of me right now, is having worked with multiple global organizations, why did I decide to start a coaching and a consulting business? Why did I get into it? And the answer that I sought at that point in time, because I have worked with multiple professionals as well as students, because I've been teaching for the last 22 odd years, I realized two things. One, most people don't know why they are doing what they are doing and have a life plan. And second, individuals and businesses don't know how to go from where they are today to where they have never been to. And today, after 6 years, with all humility and recognition to all my clients, I believe that as a coach, I have been able to make some difference in the lives of some people. And these successes become our biggest inspiration. And this single day of the past 6 years seems to be a day well spent. Extremely fruitful journey as a coach. And I would want to start asking all our co-panelists, esteemed individuals, that why did you venture into coaching, consulting? And some of you have had great careers, professional careers. So let me put this question on to Craig. Craig, why did you give up a successful career and venture into coaching?
Well, thanks for the question. I think for me, it was actually more a case of finding myself in coaching. I'd been searching for a lot in my sales and marketing career and my corporate career for a way that I could do what I enjoy doing, which was building teams and helping people, individuals, small companies, that sort of thing. I was looking for a way to do that more and do the corporate thing less. And I also wanted to live out a vision and a mission that I believed in. So I was in this unique position where I didn't give anything up. I ran towards. I was also a beautiful sort of meeting of the minds type of thing. My ideals and what I wanted to stand for was much better held in the tenets and the mission of the company that I chose to work with, which was ActionCOACH. That was 16 years ago. And in my corporate career, I had 27 different jobs before I became a coach. I've now been doing the same thing for 6 years. So that tells you a little bit about why I started. I actually found the right process by looking into coaching, but that doesn't necessarily follow for all. So the only thing I would say is, how do you know when you're ready. Well, look inside yourself. Have a look at the processes that you stand for. Coaching is a very, very personal skill and craft, and you have to know yourself well to do that. So yeah, I kind of flip the question about, but hopefully that answers the question.
Oh, absolutely, Craig, it does. And having known you for, I know you always talk about to go towards something rather than not be somewhere else. And I'll come back to you and request you to elaborate more on this. So that let me go on to Santosh and ask him the same question. Why coaching? Why did you get into coaching? You could have done multiple other things.
I have a huge respect for people who left something and because they were interested in coaching. But when I started, I didn't have to leave anything because I didn't have anything. So, so that's exactly a different thing. I was a primary school teacher, nothing much to give up. Then I'm an environmentalist. And because I had an interest in psychology and used to hypnotize people, and this was just a kind of a gradual progression, and I was happy that I shift when I didn't have to leave much because I was working in a non-profit sector, and those days my salary would look like an STD code and your salary would look like a mobile number. So I didn't have much to give up. So I just started and, and I always find difficult to do only one thing. So in the process, I did multiple things and one happened to be coaching.
I hope that you don't hypnotize us, all of us today, Santosh, because we still need to remain sane and address this very important topic. Thank you so much, Santosh. Gaurav, the champion of coaching. What brought you into coaching? And why did you give up something, or did you move towards coaching? Like Craig keeps on saying that go towards something rather than leaving something.
While listening to Greg, what a great honor it was, Greg. Thank you so much. And I just texted Santosh. I said, Santosh Peripona, and he's smiling. I said, it's such an honor for me to stand on the same platform where Santosh is standing. And Betska, I've known for several years. So it's such an honor for me to be here, first of all. So thank you so much for considering me to be here. I could resonate with what Santosh. Thank you, Betska. And I could resonate with what Santosh mentioned. I was 4 years in my career when, in 2005, I got an opportunity to set up the first coach training program in North India. I often share with people that 3 things happen to you in your life. The first one is when you fall in love. It just happens to you. You cannot plan it, right? The second one is spirituality. Third thing is coaching. So for me, coaching is such a pious thing. And when it happened to me, as Santosh mentioned, I did not have to leave anything because I didn't have anything. I just got lucky. And when I got lucky, I think the only thing that I was left with is to welcome it when the universe was whispering in my ears. And I was very open to explore this world. The only thing that I left was the security of doing something which is considered to be a tried and tested path of being an engineer, so working in an engineering company, or being an MBA, working in an organization and follow the same MBA path. So I could resonate with Santosh 200%. I didn't have anything to leave. So I was very happy to explore something which is uncharted, something new. And of course, we got the early entrant advantage. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And today we are going to talk in terms of not only falling in love, but falling in love with coaching, right? And who better to talk about that than the guru coach herself, Betska. Betska, welcome.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm late. I had some technical issues. I apologize, but namaste, India. Pleasure to be here.
Namaste, Betska. But I think you are the real guru coach because you know exactly when to come into a situation when somebody is talking about spirituality and love and coaching.
Yeah.
And you are absolutely spot on with your timing as usual. So let me ask you this: why coaching, Betska?
Well, I want to tell you my story. I'll try and be very quick about it, but I fell into this profession. I literally fell into it. After our daughter was born, I became bankrupt emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, physically. Thank God, not financially. But I was an executive, and I discovered after our daughter's birth that I had a foggy brain, and I had a very sore lower back. It was hard for me to get out of a chair. And I tried everything: acupuncture, massage, homeopathy, Ayurveda. While these modalities helped me a little bit, it was mind, body, spirit coaching with my first coach, Jan Sweeney, that changed my life. And after the second session with her, I said, Jan, can you teach me this stuff? Can you teach me how to do it? And she said, sure. So I signed up for a workshop, and she taught me some tools, some subconscious tools, right, to go into the subconscious mind. And within 3.5 months, my foggy brain disappeared, my back pain disappeared, never came back. And so I recognized the universal law of what I think I become. And I needed to permanently change my beliefs about myself. So with those early subconscious coaching tools that Jan taught me, I kept working on myself and working on myself. And since then, I've developed over 80 plus coaching methods. And then we opened a school, and I had no idea that we'd be opening a school to teach this stuff, but and I love this profession, bottom line, because it gives me meaning in life.
Thank you so much. And I think the smile on all the 5 faces tell us how much we love this profession. And so now let's dig deeper. And I want to reach out to Craig. Craig mentioned about that he did not leave anything, but he went towards coaching. And that's great for us. Craig, what I want to know from you, how does somebody recognize that coaching is the profession he or she should be seeking?
Okay, so I'm honoured in this system that I work within to be a coach trainer as well as a coach, and so for a lot of years now, I've actually had this question asked of me: well, what are the key secrets? What are the key elements of me coach? And I think there's really only 2 that you need to have a good healthy respect for. One is empathy. If you've got a good, strong, empathetic drive within you, a need, almost like a drive to contribute, then there's every chance you can be a good coach. And that it goes hand in hand with the second quality, which is we often say that you have to have an ego, but you can't use it. You have to have an ego, but you need to put it in your pocket, right? And so you have to have a lot of confidence, I believe, to be our coach. But at the end of the day, it's the humility that we carry combined with our empathy that allows us to be, because true coaching is not about consulting, it's not about advice, it's not about knowing anything. So if there's anyone out there who feels, but I don't know everything about everything, how can I possibly help someone? The truth, and I'm sure my panelists would agree with this, the truth of the matter is that in most cases, in 95% of cases, the candidate that you're coaching with knows the answer. They just don't know that they know it. So we uncover layer over layer over layer of their fogginess through questioning. So in essence, the answer is always a question, but you have to have good empathy towards that, and you have to have humility so that you don't inject yourself into the coaching session about it. So if I had to summarize it into 2 key things, the 2 qualities that I look for in a coach is empathy and humility. They're my 2 magic. It's not going to guarantee you success, but it is going to give you a good head start. And that's the difference between coaching, by the way, and consulting. It's the answer is always a question. It's never the answer itself.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic, Craig. And I want to ask this of all 3 of you, or whoever wants to take it. Craig mentioned a very important thing, that many of us have given up successful professional careers, and we have had great egos, great success stories. How does one put our ego into a pocket? And when you embark on a journey of coaching, Gaurav, you want to take that? Gaurav is Betska, you want to take
would
that?
love to do that. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Very interestingly, I've learned everything around coaching from my teachers, including Dr. Marilyn Atkinson, Richard Barrett, and Bob Anderson. Now, all three have done a lot of work in the space of ego. And one thing that I learned is ego and awareness, they don't stay in the same room. I shall repeat that. Awareness and ego, they don't stay in the same room. And just to add to what Craig mentioned about empathy, if I were to add just one thing that could allow an individual to become an effective coach and not just do coaching, is his willingness or her willingness to go deep within himself or herself. How willing am I to take a deeper dive into my own self? Who am I being in this conversation? And the very fact that this one question is going to create a lot of awareness. And the moment we can bring in awareness within my own self, my ego very swiftly will move out of the room. As I mentioned, because awareness and ego cannot stay in the same room. That's one part of it. The second part of it, having people around you who are willing to confront you and tell you what you're good at and what you're not good at. So for that matter, every time when I get stuck, I often would call Santosh. Hey Santosh, this is where I'm stuck. So on one hand, on the business grounds, somewhere we do compete with in terms of the services that we offer. But when it comes to the humanitarian grounds, I have never shied away from reaching out to Santosh and say, hey Santosh, this is where I'm struggling with, can you guide me? Now, do I have the maturity to let my vulnerability come on the surface and ask for help? And the person that I'm asking for help, for that matter, in this case, it's Santosh, right? Does the other person have the maturity to support the other person? And once we have those kind of camaraderie or that kind of a group that you're a part of, plus your willingness to work on yourself, ego slowly and steadily will move out of the place, right? And it's a lifetime journey. I often share with people, the journey of a coach is the journey of a human being. Who you are is how you coach, right? So that's my 1%, my 1 cent. Would love to hear from Betska.
Thank you, Gaurav, so much. Ego.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics, ego and getting rid of the ego. And I want to start off by saying that when I'm coaching, I don't feel like I am coaching. I feel like my inner master is coaching. My guru inside of me is asking the questions, my egotistical mind. And how I've trained myself to do that is I do a minimum of 2.5 hours of meditation a day. And just before I'm coaching someone, especially if I know it's a challenging topic that they're, I will spend 15 minutes, half an hour coaching them so that I'm not coaching from my ego, because that is very dangerous for a coach to coach from their ego. And so, through the meditation and through getting lots of coaching myself and self-coaching, we've developed a lot of self-coaching tools here that we teach our students to use on themselves. And so we just keep chipping away at that ego so that we are as pure as possible, because the clients can sense it.
Clients can sense it. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Betska. And Santosh, can I reach out to you and ask you a question? People have been talking about becoming a coach. And before I get into what's the roadmap that you're looking at professionals who's making the transition, what I hear from Craig, Betska, and Gaurav is the transformation of that I. Because the I needs to transform first. Because if the I is not, it's not a binary event that today morning I wake up and tomorrow I become, right? It's a transformation of that I. So what would you say? What's the roadmap for a successful professional who wants to get into a coaching, business coaching, life coaching, executive coaching, could be any coaching, could be leadership coaching? What's that roadmap that you would give that person, that these are the things that somebody needs to go through?
That's a tough question. In
Tough
my
question
case,
to the best.
My case, I didn't actually do anything to reduce my ego. Clients did. So that's how.
Good one.
That's a fantastic.
That's a great one.
I've been just learning, taking the baby steps, and lucky that the clients, my first client was the CEO of Louis Vuitton, where I didn't know. All the ladies whom I knew were very proud that I'm CEO of Louis Vuitton, but I didn't know what is Louis Vuitton those days. So that's good for the ego. The thing when I trained coaches, I found two kinds of people coming for that training, because anytime some kind of a broad framework is useful, but I want to repeat this, some kind of a broad framework is useful only to start. After that, if you're stuck with the framework, you're stuck in life. This has been my personal. When I went to learn painting, art, they taught me how to anatomically create a human body with the 7.5 circles. And I had to learn that. If I'm still painting human body with the 7.5 circles, and I'm stuck. So it's good to have some framework to begin with. Then I feel that each one of us create our own authentic style, which could be out of the framework. And I didn't want to brand it as mine, because anything that we do, there is a style. But a couple of things I found is useful. One, the ability to listen, and nobody will contradict that, the ability to. And one of the things is my favorite, which I do, which some of the frameworks don't do, is the ability to challenge. And I like to challenge my clients that way. Then I say the ability to be a cheerleader. There is a time when you need to challenge. There is a time I need to be a cheerleader. There is a time I need to be quiet and just listening. And later I started studying philosophy. When philosophy is a very broad word, I'm talking about classical philosophy. That has really helped me. The ability to learn continuously, go deeper, ask questions, what is reality? What is the purpose? So I know if I talk more, I will be creating a framework, and I hate frameworks. So these are some stray thoughts.
Okay. Thank you so much, Santosh, for that. Let me jump on to Betska and ask Betska, this world is rapidly changing. What it was yesterday is no longer what it is today. And our clients are changing. What do you think will be our clients' ask of us as coaches? What are the clients expecting of us in this rapidly changing world, where there are crisis after crisis, the world that has seen? What will be their ask of us, and how do we as coaches prepare for this? Because we're still on that I piece, right? We need to be very clear on all the I's first. So what is that the client is asking of us? And I'll ask Craig the same question, because he comes from a totally different geography. That what are the clients asking of us? So
Well, yeah, thank you, Moloy. Of course, if we had a crystal ball, we would be able to tell, but let me give you just some thoughts for me. One of the things I noticed with the pandemic is that everyone around the world has learned how to be more quiet. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Be more quiet. The noise, right? We're not going out shopping as much or going out visiting friends. We're being more quiet. So therefore, clients are now looking for coaching systems that will help them quiet their racing minds. Because especially executives, right? We've got a million things going on, and I've been to India 8 times, and I would be astonished at how hard your leaders work. You 6 days a week, 70-hour weeks. I mean, oh my God! And sometimes you never see your children. My heart was breaking for all of you. So these leaders in India and globally are learning to be more quiet. They want us to coach them to be more quiet. How do they do that? How do they still those racing minds? Is it yoga? Is it meditation? Do I need to change my beliefs? Do I need to look at my roadblocks in the way of all of that? So that's number one, that the dire needs are changing, number one. Number two, we're also seeing a huge uptick in requests for coaching on the spiritual level. And it's not just because I'm the guru coach. Our students will tell you that, and other people that, are outside of our school will tell you that. This will dramatically rise, right, this need for spiritual level coaching for corporates and government leaders who are finding that material wealth leaves them empty. I was one of those. I had fancy cars, fancy houses, my hat matched my gloves. I had all that stuff. And I was empty inside. So these leaders are feeling very tired. Thus, they want more time. They want more energy with their families. They want to spend more time in meditation and prayer. Truly, they want a more meaningful life. The running for the almighty rupee or the almighty buck is not in their future. They want creature comforts, of course, but not that it is ruling and controlling their lives. The third thing is that I'm finding leaders want more than just left brain coaching questions. They want to be able to find their blind spots that they don't even know exist, that could be sabotaging their personal and professional lives. Number four, they want to get rid of their judgments. I'm finding leaders are very tired of playing games. This corporate game playing, of I'm going to step on you to get above, or, I'm going to cast blame on someone else and get them into trouble. No. That's definitely changing. And lastly, I'm finding that they're very interested in understanding how to change their own behavior. I remember one leader coming up to me and saying, Betska, I don't believe I can change. Clearly, his boss had told him he needed to come for coaching, right? And he told me, session number one, I don't believe I can change. Well, by the second session, he realized that he could change, and it was permanent. So they want to know about cell biology, neuroscience, quantum physics, anything that will help them become a brand new person. So I could go on, but I'm going to let Craig.
Fantastic, Betska. Let's look at the Southern Hemisphere and say, what is our clients, your clients, Craig, asking of you, and the multiple coaches that you train? What are the new challenges that have come up in the past 18 months?
Well, I think generally agree with everything that's been said, particularly from Betska. However, I always bring it back to two words that I'm looking for at the end of a session with a client. I'm always looking for two words to come up in some way, shape, or form. And those two words are focus and clarity. Because of the lack of being present, because of that lack of, although that has gotten better in the last 18 months, I would admit that I think that the pandemic, never waste a good disaster. It's been very, very kind to a lot of areas in our life. We just haven't had the ability to see that just yet in some cases. But focus and clarity are the two words that I'm looking for, and I often hear from clients. That's when I know I've done a good job. If I've been able to sift away some of the cobwebs, if they've got some clarity about what they need, what actions they need to take, and probably confidence as well. There's another thing is, most of my clients are business clients, and although yes, I'm based in Sydney, so the Asia Pacific region is where I operate most. We would say that we're being glanced by the pandemic rather than being hit by it. That hasn't stopped us from locking down for 3-6 months at a time. That's another story. But I actually coach across the globe as well. So I could say this is a uniform experience. People are looking for focus, clarity, and confidence. You see, if you're in business or if you're at the highest level in an organisation, the challenge for you is, who do I talk to? Who's going to listen to me? Who's going, when I don't believe in myself, when I'm doubting myself, who's going to help me out with that? That's where the coach comes in. So my three words would be focus, clarity, confidence is what clients are looking for. If you can nail those three, and that's where we come back to the humility and the empathy we were talking about earlier. Yeah. You can nail those three because you have a more of a need to contribute than to take, then you can really have a good success as a coach, I believe.
Fantastic, Craig. The three words. I think all those who are watching this program, live or later, the value that they're getting from what Santosh is saying, Gaurav, Betska, and Craig, please take it. Now let's move on to the process. And I would want to reach out to Gaurav first. Gaurav, you have been training a lot of coaches and you have been working with a lot of coaches. Do you think it's important to have a niche, a coaching niche? If how does one create a niche? And we have about 10 minutes to go, so we would want some quick answers to this.
Yeah. It's a brilliant question. I've been struggling with this question for quite some time, but let me make an attempt. And this is just my perspective.
Yeah.
A coach is not just a designation, it's the essence that you offer to the other person. And when I was listening to Craig, and Craig mentioned about three words: focus, clarity, and confidence. The three words for me are the three basic desires of a human soul: expression, connection, and contribution. In fact, recently we concluded a conference where we had three tracks: expression, connection, and contribution. Now, from that perspective, a coach is just a space. And I loved it when Betska mentioned, because I use this analogy: when Roger Federer is playing on the court, neither there is Roger Federer nor there is tennis racket. There is only tennis which is on the field. Similarly, when an individual is coaching the other person, what exists in that space is the essence of coaching. That's one part of it. Now, everything which is there, unless you standardize that, unless you organize it, you'll not be able to market it really well. And that's the reason it becomes extremely important to find your own niche, so that there's no need to compete with each other and you find a target audience for yourself. And from that perspective, it becomes extremely important to find your niche. And now, what does niche do for you? Niche helps you to convert all the hard work that you'll be doing as an individual into the smart work, because you have dealt with leadership coaching in the past. So you'll be able to identify the leader's blocks. You'll be able to identify the reactive patterns and the reactive tendencies of an individual that may show up every time when this person is leading. When you're a sports coach, you have an understanding of the technique that it plays, so you can ask a question from that perspective. So at the basic, if you look at the foundation, coaching is a space, coaching is an essence. But the moment you start to find a niche for yourself, it helps you to become more focused, as Craig mentioned. I'm just borrowing the word from Craig. You can be more focused. From that perspective, you'll be able to market yourself really well. You'll be able to create a credibility and space for yourself in that particular industry, and you'll be able to attract the right kind of audience for yourself. That's my take. Now the question is, have I been able to find a niche for myself? Now, having been in this space for over 15 years now, I've not been able to identify that a niche for myself. Why? Because I'm still exploring the essence of coaching. I think that will take me a lifelong journey to explore that essence, to explore that space, my own discomfort, my own relationship with that space, because I'm still dealing with the reactive tendencies of an own self as an individual.
Fantastic.
And now, just exploring that. So that's my take. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Now let's look at from a perspective of would-be coaches. Betska, what are some of the mistakes that coaches make in client selection? Because we have seen successful coaches like all of you out here, but we have also seen some coaches who have not been so successful. And I believe is that there is a problem in the client selection methodology. Because so what are some of the challenges, and what would you tell somebody who's watching this program, who's a coach, currently a coach, but struggling to build a business, about his client selection?
Such a great question, and my response may challenge our viewing audience because I'm going to ask the question, do we really select our clients? And I'll get back to that in a moment because I'm answering from a spiritual perspective. But let's just do some logical thinking first around tools. Let's talk tools. If you want to coach leaders on career transition, then you need tools. You need to know how to write a resume, how to release emotions, how to remove fears, etc. And so, you really want to look for the low-hanging fruit. Which client selection, which market is one that you are comfortable with. And then afterwards, like Gaurav, I am still looking. I am still searching and having a lot of fun with it. And so I would encourage all the coaches out there, just have fun with it. Start with the low-hanging fruit, whatever you know best, whatever industry you know, and then continue going from there. So I've answered that from a logical perspective. Now I'm going to answer it from a spiritual perspective, because I believe it's important to believe in the law of attraction, that we attract people, places, and things into our lives to help us first. You know, Moloy, you're talking about the eye, right? Fixing the eye and so on. So do we really select our clients, or do we spiritually come together to work on the same issues? I can tell you, every single client I have, and I've been doing this since 1997, that I often want to give them their money back, because they have helped me so much, whatever I'm helping them on. They've made me more humble. They've been working on my ego to make me a more loving, kind, compassionate person. So I really believe that God only sends me the people I can handle.
Fantastic. I think that's a fantastic way of looking at it. But let's look at it from a slightly more non-spiritual aspect. And I will go to Santosh on this. Santosh, a question that keeps on, that has been asked of me many times by prospective coaches. Can I make enough money to fulfill all my life aspirations as a coach? Can I make money as a coach? You mentioned, because I'm coming to you with this question, because you mentioned that you gave up salary, which was an STD code compared to that mobile phone number. So, right?
Yeah, so, mobile phone number, I was talking about you guy's salary that time.
I thought you have transitioned from a STD code to a mobile phone number.
No. Now, I think enough is a very, very relative term. From last January, I left everything and I live in a coffee plantation in Coorg. And I cook my food and get my fish from the river. And so enough is relative. Having said that, I've been able to coach people from all around the world. Usually I only coach CEOs. And I coach less people because I spend a lot of time doing other work. And I've been able to, because I started as a primary school teacher in the forest of Bhutan. And what I do now, coaching CEOs, and I teach in the University of Chicago, ISB and TIS. I think from my relative sense, I've been able to do well and make. And when I compare some other people, I sometimes also felt that I'm not that ambitious. My needs are less. Okay. But if you're good at, but my dad told me, don't bother about coaching. If you're good at making chappals, and if you're too good, you'll make enough money. Anything, one field in life, if you're too good at it, you make enough money.
That's a very interesting That's a very relative and a very interesting analogy. But I want to take the same question to Craig. Craig, you have been training a lot of business coaches, and I'm sure you get inquiries from a lot of business coaches that I am extremely successful in my professional career. Should I become a coach, and do you think I'll be able to make the money that I was making in my professional career? I'll not use the word enough, but I'll say that what I'm leaving behind, can I make that kind of money?
There's always that concern. So I actually leapt into, and I say leapt, I jumped with both feet, with no wings, built on the way down. I was ready, and I think Gaurav was talking about those moments in life. I knew full well this was for me. So my due diligence about becoming a coach took approximately 2 weeks. If I'm honest, I've been looking at it for about 7 years, but in 2 weeks, I went from a corporate pirate atmosphere to a fully fledged business coach opportunity in less than 2 weeks. And the reason I was able to do that was the questions weren't there for me, but I would go back to our earlier questions we talked about in terms of empathy and humility. I'm always conscious. I understand why the question comes up, and I'm sure that a lot of the viewers today would have the same sort of question. Believe me, do what you love, and you'll be able to make that money on the way out. It's just as Santosh said. If you don't, the sustainable income that you're going to need. I've got 3 kids under 12. We've got we live in Sydney, which is one of the most expensive places in the world to live at the moment, and it's just real estate's going up because of the pandemic. So I need to earn a living. It's as simple as that. At the end of the day, if you enjoy doing what you're doing and you're passionate about it, then the revenue will follow. And the reason I've still got the first client that I started working with, my very first client that I signed 16 years ago is still coaching with me today. Not on the same things, in a completely different way. I spoke to them earlier this afternoon and I said I was going to be speaking to this audience. He said to say, hello, this works. So you can earn good money, but you won't earn sustained revenue, sustained income in coaching if you don't have empathy and humility. It has to be about the clients, it's really not about us at all. And so I think we've heard those echoes all the way through this session. It's about humility and empathy, and it's about them, not you. Get nailed in on that, target on that, and the revenue will be there for you. Simple as that.
Fantastic, Craig. As we come to the end of today's session, 1 30-second answer from all of you. There are a lot of aspiring coaches watching this show. And what would one piece of advice that you would give to aspiring coaches who are thinking of coaching as a career? Santosh.
I think that before getting into any framework or a training, if you are not currently coaching in any way that you define as, and if you haven't got a feedback that you're good at it, don't go for it.
Okay. Craig, would you like to take that before before we go to Betska?
Yep.
One piece of advice for aspiring coaches.
I think talk to your partner. If you have a partner in life, if you have this aspirational partner in life, talk to your partner about what Santosh just said. You know me well enough. What do you think about this for me? And also that person is on a journey with you. So if you've got a partner in life, you have to be 100% sure this is not something you do as an individual. It's not like a career. Coaching is something that's very personal, and it does bring your family along with it. So be sure that your partner is along with this.
Okay, fantastic. Betska, if you're all right, would you want to take that question? One single piece of advice for watching this program.
Excuse me. My advice is that coaches learn systems that help a client define their negative programming hidden inside of them at the subconscious level, because it's debilitating. So in every session, you should be able to know how to switch a client's negative belief into a positive one. And then you're going to be golden. You'll be hugely successful.
Thank you so much, Betska. Gaurav, one piece of advice to aspiring coaches.
Sure. I'm not going to give an advice, but I'm going to ask 2 questions. The first question is, why would you want to become a coach at the very first place? And check within yourself, am I really ready, and am I willing to dig deeper? The deeper minds of my own self to know who am I, as Ramana Maharshi says. So that's a question that I'm going to leave the audience with. Thank you.
Fantastic, Gaurav. Thank you so much. One last question to Craig and Santosh. There's a question that has come in the chat box. One book recommendation that you would want to give to aspiring coaches?
I would say that in a game of work, in a game of golf, and according to me, this is my personal opinion, these are the books that triggered coaching worldwide.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Santosh. Craig, one book for aspiring coaches.
We need a whole session. We can't just give one book. I'm going to go with the Life Principle, The Slight Edge by John Olson. The Slight Edge by John Olson. Yeah.
Slight Edge. Thank you so much, Craig. And this could have gone on and on because there are 2 pieces that we have been talking about. One is the I, the transformation of the I. Before you even think about transformation of the you, of the business, of our clients. So thank you so much, Betska. Thank you so much, Santosh, Gaurav, Craig. Amazing session and an awesome session. Thank you, everyone, for giving us an opportunity. And I hope those aspiring coaches have taken some value out of this session. Over to you, Pooja. Thank you so much.
Thank you.